And so it's okay. We can talk about ourselves, of course, but you can talk direct about the project. I don't know what you prefer.
I guess we can talk about project directly. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe about the project they already can understand how crazy we are.
Yeah. We don't even understand how crazy we are, but let's try to explain.
So I like the name of the first phase of the project, the interface for imagination. The I don't I, imagination. Okay, we have a bump many times in this world, and we don't know exactly what happens, but we have this idea that when we have something inside our minds, and it's not actually in front of us, but in some way we can sense, we can see. Sometimes if your imagination is really strong, maybe you can smell, I don't know, but it's this idea that we can create something as inside of our minds, but it's not there in the real world, at least yet. So, and of course there is,
Yeah.
when I'm saying mind, I'm not saying brain. I don't think that the imagination is just like attached to the brain, but in some way the neurons is around, like they are connected in some way. And we have this idea in neuroscience that imagination is in our heads, in our brains. And the idea is how we can, like see the moment that imagination is being generated, how we can capture these,
Yeah.
and how we can train a machine to imagine in the same way that an artist imagine. I don't know. I think, I don't know, maybe we
I
could
like interface a lot because, as you said, I mean, I think for me, I think for most people, imagination is a very personal process. Everyone interprets that it's you and yourself. Eventually, you have triggers, but it's a process that's very personal, very internal. So the word, when I read the word interface for imagination, it's like, why do I need an interface? Why am I interacting with like a third party? Am I, it's like a media mediating some kind of interaction or consumption of information. So I think the word interface in this case is really interesting because it's not obvious for when you think about imagination. It's like, and then for me at least, I think it makes people question themselves. Why do I need an interface if imagination is such a personal process, And then that's the trigger for the discussion, I think. I think this is a very good word in this case. Yeah.
when I say, oh, I'm an artist, and people think that I'm an artist from the visual world, it's so funny because actually I come from theater. I'm really good doing drama, and and actually it's a co-creation environment. Like it's very hard that you're being an actor, that you're working by yourself. Like it's not
Yeah.
like painting a canvas. And either my friends that probably are painting canvas, they are with more collaboration, but and then I was in this co-creation environment, so you are being creative all the time with people around you, and we're delivering many installations like you remember when we did this artist vaginas.
Mm-hmm.
uh, so we had how many people there? Seven? I don't
I guess
know.
eight, 7 or 8, yeah,
Yeah, so this is a
around this.
co-creation. So I was imagining at some point that I could have some kind of octopus, like that I could put in my head and then connect with the head of everybody. And in this way they could be inside of my head and see, like what I'm trying to tell or building or,
Yeah,
you know, but in some way we always use language to express and to communicate, like uh, and then we try to create some summary of the thing. Oh no, the idea is using the petri dish, but in this way, and then like,
mm-hmm.
we are always using the language, the spoken language, as this also this interface. And I think for this first phase of the project, we are trying to not use the language. We are trying to build
Yeah,
this
exactly,
octopus
exactly.
tentacles and some way connecting without say the word. Yeah, it's a challenge.
I love the octopus metaphor. Absolutely, yeah, and absolutely, and it's especially when we think about that's something that we were also discussing, that most collaborations, if you want to collaborate with more people, including people like from other countries who speak other languages, you have each time more challenges. If it's not your maternal language, it's you have to make an effort and spend a lot of energy and sometimes trying to express some ideas that you feel like you would express better in, for example, in Portuguese in our case. And then there's this other layer of trying to connect. So the octopus is really easier because it's like you don't have to spend energy trying to translate or to think in a different language. Even if you talk about like English, Portuguese, or this kind of interactions. This is also interesting. I mean, you could collaborate, for example, you could have a collective of artists that would not understand themselves. They could
Yeah, it's
exchange
true.
ideas and they would not speak the same language, for example, if they didn't know English, for example, and they're from different countries. This could be
So
interesting.
yeah, I think one of the challenges for this project is kind of methodology. So we are using words to train some descriptive image like, oh, this is a square, that's a yellow square on top of a
Hmm.
triangle, or like how this I know that there is a lot of this accessibility in museums, that you go there and you have these audio descriptions, and there is a
Hmm.
whole training about how like trying to get some visuals in a way that people that doesn't have the same weight that we are seeing, they can also enjoy in some way the artistic environment. So I think we are profiting of some this vocabulary to describe
I
something.
agree.
And
Yeah.
then when I'm thinking about this, oh, these combinations, I don't know. I always just say yellow square, so I'm saying Mondrian, for example, right now. It's like it's the background is white with this red square and this black line, and it's not like anyway, if you're training this way, the idea is generate this prompt to go direct to the machine. Like I just
Hmm.
think I can close my eyes, I can put my helmet. It's not an octopus yet, and I can just think about this, and then I have a prompt that I can send for Stable Diffusion, Mid Journey, DALI, or whatever of these text to image generator. But the idea is using brain to image generate.
Yeah.
And once we have this model, we can go for the second phase of the project.
Very exciting. This would be very interesting. The artist in a dish. I love the title as well, Artist in a Dish. I think it's very provocative.
You
I
gave
I
the
think we
name.
were
I was
brilliant.
yeah, I was thinking, oh my God, it's like having my head,
Yeah.
like as a plate that you can serve people around.
I love this title. I think this is really interesting because I mean these organoids are really a hot topic. They have been a hot topic for a while, but I don't yeah, I mean I think it's probably one of the first projects that we already know that there's some other projects, but one of the first projects to propose to use this in this artistic exploration. And it's really crazy, that you can actually simulate the structure of a brain. That's why people call them like mini brains, which I think is very cute, in a petri dish. And they actually have the electric signals. They actually have neurological activity, and the cells are really organized, like in a cortex, in the same way they would be in a fully formed human brain. It's really crazy. And I think what we are doing could also, which I think is fun to think about. I mean, what we are proposing is speculative, but it could also have an impact in the, depending on how we do the second part, on the technology of the process. Because one of the challenges today is how to capture the signals from these mini brains. There's a lot of people researching this because usually you have some electrodes at the bottom of the petri dish, but the mini brain is round, so it's like a small sphere. You don't capture all the electric activity in different points of the mini brain, and they're very small. So how do you capture this electric signal? So usually people capture signals only in the part of the mini brain that is touching the plate in the electrode. So this is one of the challenges. I think I'm just thinking that maybe depending on how we speculate, we can also come up with more creative ideas that maybe in the future could even help to solve this kind of technical problem.
Yes, thank God we have many people helping us in this project. We call these people the alchemists. So then we can have some kind of mentoring how, like we can build our own model, and then how we can try with the mini brains. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
but it's of course the second phase is more speculative. I don't know if I can use the model that I trained in my adult brain in my mini brain,
Yeah,
but it's art, and then we can do whatever that we we want to provoke.
yeah.
I like also because in we have this idea of this codex that's a kind of day by
I
day
love the
journey,
Codex.
and of course, we have the meta codex because most of the time we are having these conversations. How you are set up in this, how you're send
Yeah,
this, which kind of tool, how you are reading the papers, how we are showing the papers, how like we explain the because you know I think for me the point about art, and maybe it's because I'm from this drama school, it's about the process. It's a
yeah,
it's of course we can achieve this amazing product that's having this narrow helmet octopus mind like it, but for me the most interesting either with artist vaginas or the projects was always the like how we got there, like it's
yeah.
and we are building the
I agree.
pathway in the moment that we are walking through. And of
Absolutely.
course maybe it's time to talk about our is our residence a little bit, just to say thank you. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Ca-
The
Count
support is,
with, like,
yeah, really,
yeah.
really critical
I
for the
was very
project.
surprised how a payment business is interesting having artistic and residents there. And then I understood they are trying to find just different ways to think about the ordinary life, the day by day, and to also to be inspired and to think more about this intersection between AI, conscience, and yeah, so
Yeah,
takes a
I
lab
think
to raise a monster.
I love this sentence. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Perfect. Yeah.
I think we have.
Oh, this is great. I did a